This is a Mesa Boogie Blue Angel. It's awesome. It's like if Mesa Boogie made a Fender Super Reverb. And we have presets and captures based on this amp. Available, links below. We're gonna have a more in-depth video on this amp itself, but as I said up front, it's kind of like Mesa Boogie's take on Fender Super Reverb. It's a 410 combo, so you could get these in like a single 12 or a 410. Boogie doesn't make this amp anymore, but this amp has a story. I often kind of joke around that like this is an amp I've been looking for the last 25 years because my roommate in college, whose name also happens to be Brian, he had one of these amplifiers that he had in college, and so I would hear him play this thing and I always thought it sounded awesome, and I always kind of wanted one. This was like the year 2000, so 25-ish years ago. And I've kind of been looking for one ever since. You know, they're not that hard to find, but they don't come up all that often. And I found a good deal on one, and I grabbed it. I also love this orange Tonex cover, you know, with the wheat-colored basket weave here. Like I said, it's a 410 combo. This amp has 10-inch Jensen speakers, so it'd be very much like what you'd get with a Fender Super Reverb. Now this amp also has what they call progressive linkage. So you can run it in a 6v6 configuration, you can run it in an EL84 configuration, and then you can link the two together in what's called simul-link. It really does change the way the amp sounds and the way it responds and the way it feels. So the 6v6 is going to be most like what you would think of like a vintage Fender amplifier, like a black panel Fender. Then you can go to EL84. It changes the response of the amp. It has a little bit more chime to it. You know, EL84s are most often associated with Vox type amplifiers, and then you can link them together. So a little bit about what you're getting with the captures and the presets. So for capture devices, Tonex, Quad Cortex, Kemper, we captured the amp in all three settings, all throughout the gain range of the amp. So as the numbers go up, it goes up in gain, and then it'll be labeled 6v6, EL84, or link, depending on how the amp was set. For the preset devices, that would be the Line 6, Fractal, and also Quad Cortex. You're getting presets with those. We're giving you two sets of presets. So this is something we've been doing a lot more lately. We're giving you one called A. The A preset has all of the wet effects and modulation into two instances of the amp in stereo. So it would be like taking a large pedal board, running it into two of these, and so all of your stuff goes into the front of the amplifier. That is a very specific sound that we really like, and I know a lot of you like it as well. You know, we've used the Super Reverb models inside of the Line 6 and Fractal hardware to emulate this amplifier, and then we've built custom impulse responses based on this cab, these speakers, and then with a little bit of extra EQ sauce to match them to this amp specifically. There is also a set of presets labeled B. It's a sort of like our B template preset, and that is all of the wet effects and modulation come after the amp. So I know a lot of you like running it, and that'd be like more of a studio setup, right? So your compression and drives go into the amp block, then after the amp and IR block, you've got all your modulation, delays, and reverbs. So I like both setups. So it kind of really just depends on what mood you're in. But the amp settings and the drive settings are going to be the same for each of those setups. Now for Quad Cortex, you can of course grab any of the channels if you want to think of these as different channels. By default on Quad Cortex, we've delivered the EL84 voicing. We just really like the way that one sounds, but of course you can drop in 6v6, EL84, link. You can mix and match to sort of get like some separation that way. If you'd like, you can really experiment with the captures if you're running something like that, or a Tonex or a Kemper player. But all in all, a really, really cool amp. I like these vintage things from Mesa Boogie. Often when you think about Mesa Boogie, you associate it with like the dual rectifier, triple rectifier, maybe the Mark series, or like the, you know, the 2C, that kind of thing. And some more high gain, modern sounding amplifiers. But Mesa Boogie makes some really, really cool vintage type amplifiers as well. We also have like a California Tweed from Boogie. That would be more like a, you know, like a blonde basement type of a thing. But this one is really putting you in sort of like the mid-60s Fender Super Reverb Camp. Sounds great. Again, links below where you can listen to more playing samples, learn more about these presets and captures. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.